All right, so the title of my slide is From Monopoly to Meeples. Monopoly is a great game. I love to play it. If it's played right, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not slamming those types of game. And a meeple is the modern term for the bit that you move around that represents you. They started off as people-shaped. People turned into a meeple, representing me, meeple. That's the word meeple came from. So my history of gaming, board games like Sorry, I played a game called Bonkers. I refound that on eBay and played it again. Didn't realize how awful it was. My dad and I played cribbage. I played D&D when I was in middle school. I have and still play Nuclear War since about 1987, and this is a train building game. I'm wearing my t-shirt from it. I got out of gaming. I got into college and learned how to play beer games. And then I got into video games, and you'd sit in dark rooms by yourself and kind of, alone, and I think that's kind of got boring. I mean, I did it for a couple of years, but I really missed the social aspect of board gaming, and that's really what it is for me. It's getting together with friends and playing games. So then I met my wife, who was over there, and we got into playing party games, Gestures and Taboo. We had 3 or 4 murder mystery parties, and still want to do those again. I have a couple unopened ones in my game collection. That I want to break those out again. So those were a good transition. So then I had my son, my little mini-me as I call him, he's sitting over there. And we played family games together and kid games and, Chutes and Ladders and all that sort of stuff. Really as a training to teach him into playing games with me as we got older. And here we are at one of our gaming conventions. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So we spend weekends together going to these giant gaming conventions where we play games all weekend. And we play fun games where you make little clay monsters and you throw them at each other. Or that's me doing a lecture, listening to Will Wheaton from Star Trek, who now is a gaming enthusiast just like me. And then they often have giant games. A lot of what I'm going to talk about tonight, you're going to see information from a website called Board Game Geek. I have a little app on my phone. I keep track of all the games I own. And I have 257 and counting that I track and when I play them and all that, because I just like that data. We rank them, and we all talk about how great they are. So it's a hobby you can really get into. So this is the name of a game. This is the ranking out of 10 on that. And this is what kind of game it is based on that. So if you might find a game you like, you can go back and find other similar games, or if I don't like it, not. Like I don't like worker placement, you might say. So you would know not to play that. There's going to be also 2 things. Oh, I'm getting too slow here. All right, so there are IP themed games. If you want to find a game based on a TV show you like Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica. These are both 2 fantastic games based on TV shows. So it's a good way to introduce yourself to a game where you might like the theme just because it's something you want to talk about. There's games about farming. Agricola is not my favorite, but it's a really highly rated game about farming, basically. You create little pig pens and farm. Bonanza is much funner. It's a trading game that involves beans, and it's more silly, and you're trading your black-eyed peas, which are peas with a black eye. All right, I can't get away from talking about architecture. So there are architecture games. There's ones where you build things, or ground floor here. Sunrise City actually has, you're building a city by stacking cards, and one of the cards is the architect, and he's worthless, and I think that's pretty realistic. Believe it or not, there are games. I've played this one about fashion. It's called Pret-a-Porter. It's French, by a Polish game designer, and I put off playing it because I just hated the theme for a year, but it got such great reviews, 7.4, that I've actually played it twice, and it really is a good game. And the person who has the most matching skirts gets extra points. I mean, it's ridiculous. You play it. Cooperative are probably my favorite type of games. These are where the game mechanics work against you as a team. So you all play together as a group against the board. There's a King Arthur-based one, which has a skin that's rethemed from Monty Python that makes it really fun. There's a lot of 2-player games. I don't play them as much. Hive's like a variant of chess where you're moving bugs around that has special movements. Twilight Struggles probably is the #1 game on Board Game Geek. I've not played it, but it represents USSR versus America during the Cold War. And that's a pretty popular, but it's 2-player only. There's tons of light games. Munchkins is the really dumb little card game, not dumb, but easy, where you just play monsters against each other. King of Tokyo is a modern version of Yahtzee. You just roll dice until you get something, but they've added really neat monsters. I mean, who doesn't want to play you know, Godzilla versus the giant, another creature beating each other up. Then there's huge, heavy, deep games. Jamie, my friend, and I back there just played Power Grid last weekend. It's a great game, it's been around forever. It's a bit deep. I played Starfleet Battles as a teenager. Big giant maps moving little chips around for hours and hours on end, representing the game Star Wars. Family games, we talked about playing family games. Zularetto is a game where you collect up little tiles representing your animals, and if you get a boy cheetah and a girl cheetah, you get a little baby cheetah. And it's really cute. It's just a fun little game. That's not that complicated. Survive is a reprint, so some of you may have played it as a Hasbro game as a kid, but it's recently been reprinted. Then there's modern party games. Dixit's a really interesting one where you get these weird cards and you make up a little phrase and you try to get people to guess which card is yours. Telestration is probably the most hilarious game I've ever played in my life. You draw a little picture and then somebody tries to guess what it is, and then the next person tries to guess what that word is, and it just is crazy. Gateway games are a term you might hear about, real introductory games. If you don't know what you're doing, you might ask about a gateway game. Ticket to Ride and Carcassonne are probably the two most famous gateway games that are really easy to learn, but have a long staying power. I'm happy to play them anytime, you know, even after that. So how do I do this? Well, I'm part of a group called Game Day. We play in various places, including this library, which is why I chose to do this here on Saturdays. But we play at other game stores. Just get together, and we bring our games and say, hey, what do you want to play this week? And we play games. So that's it.